Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
For all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels.
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
Happen in 49, 61, 63 or 69 when they reach the final. But the class of 2021 have delivered. Leicester City are FA Cup winners at last and are history makers at Wembley.
They have blown their rivals away. They have blown us all away in truth. Premier League champions 2016. The amazing Leicester City.
Till I Die TV, your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
Right, Chris.
All right there. How the devil are we all? It all seems to be coming together just at the right time. Nervous about this week. I'm not going to lie to you. But wasn't it great to see the 7 changes and we still win? When was the last time this season you can remember where we could make 7 changes and still put out a team that could go and win a game? I whisper it. I think Leicester are back. This is Leicester Till I Die TV. YouTube, Leicester Till I Die TV. Please like and subscribe to us there on that channel. It is much appreciated. And if you're listening on your favourite podcast platform, including Spotify, Google, Amazon and Apple, it is much appreciated. Just search Leicester Till I Die. This is where you can find us.
Watch us on YouTube. Listen on your favourite podcast platform or ask your smart speaker to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow and join in now.
Broadcasting live worldwide.
Indeed, we are all over the place. Hi, David. How are you doing? So I hope you are well. And let's bring in my regular co-host on this slot now. Louise, good evening. How are you?
How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm still struggling to hear you.
Hold on. Let me see if I can sort it out. I'm on my iPad, so who knows? Could just be... I think
it's not often we have us men have trouble listening to women.
No. My iPad now. I think that's as loud as I can go. Is that any better?
Yeah, that is better. Thank you. Yeah, brilliant. Cheers. David, yes, it was a brilliant game. I mean, before we get into sort of last week's fixtures, we mentioned before, and I don't know if anybody in the chat knows, but somebody posted to the group, and it is on his Facebook page, that Hamza Chowdhury has signed a new contract. But there's nothing on any of the major sites, including lcfc.com. But he's actually put it. I mean, as I said, I don't think it's a fake account, but it would be interesting as if anybody can put any light on that at all. It will be interesting. Hello, Chris and Louise. I'm well, and hopefully Louise is as well.
I am. Thank you, Phil.
I've said this a few times over the last few days that we are slowly getting these players back. We seem to get 2 back and lose another 1, but we're still getting the team back. I mean, the fact that we made 7 changes and still sort of was able to win a game, it's a long time since that's happened. And obviously we'll talk more about that game later. But I just wanted to look and say, ask you if I'm quite optimistic now. I don't think it's impossible for a late challenge for Europe in the league, although it will obviously be sort of, the conference. and the fact that we've obviously got the quarterfinal second leg coming up as well. But we've just hitting form and getting the players back at the right time. If you look at the current form table on the last 6 games, we're actually 4th.
Yeah, and that goes to show that what the problem actually was. The problem was we didn't have players. The problem was we had a lot of injuries. It wasn't Brendan Rodgers. It wasn't any major problem, apart from the fact that we couldn't keep players fit. And it was a case of we got one fit, we lost another one. You know, when you look at the team that played on Sunday, a lot of that team has been out injured at some point in the season.
Yes.
In fact, I think pretty much all of it, apart from Michael.
Yeah, possibly. Yes. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I often quote Clinton Morrison, and not my usual place I go to for quotes, but I was listening to him in one game, and it's before we'd kind of hit this vein of form, and he said, judge Brendan Rodgers when he's got his full team back.
Yeah.
And I thought, actually, that is a very good point, because to me, all right, we might not get past PSV, but we're in a European quarter-final. It's as far as we've ever gone before. We finished sort of, 8th, 9th, 10th even. With everything that's gone on this season, that I think Brendan's done a good job this season if that's how it ends up.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think, like you say, we can make that push in the league to get a European place so that there's not quite so much riding on the conference games. Having said that, obviously we do go into a better competition if we win the conference to if we finish low in those league places. So yeah, I mean, they're going to go and try and win it because it's a trophy, and they should go and try and win, of course. But they've made it hard for themselves by being unlucky, because they were on Thursday night. I went to the game, could quite easily have won that game 2 or 3-0 and just could not get it in the back of the net. There was, missed chances.
I think we could still be playing now. We wouldn't have scored.
No, it was one of those nights, and you're hoping that doesn't obviously happen again this Thursday.
No.
Play like we did, I've got no doubt that they'll win the game.
Yeah. Well, we'll come on to that. That's our second game we're going to look at. David, good afternoon. I do all my shows, 90% of my shows at night. I'm used to saying good evening. And then when I do a watch along during the day, I can't remember to say good afternoon. And now I'm back to the evening. I can't say good evening. I'm putting too much vodka in this Coke, aren't I? That's what it is. Isn't it funny? Many people are referring to KDH as our catalyst because of his industry application and hustle. Aren't we lucky to have him? I just hope really that we don't build him up too much, and then what fans are like. He has a couple of games where maybe he's not so good. You remember Chilwell? Suddenly people turn them, and we do like to build players up and then knock them down.
Fans are just fickle, though, aren't they? You are only as good as your last performance. And to a certain degree, that is how it should be, because they're professionals.
Yeah.
They are paid a hell of a lot of money to be good at what they do. However, we know that that's not sport. Sport does not work like that. No sportsman, even Ronaldo, makes mistakes. Messi makes mistakes. They're the best of the generation. So you can't expect it every time. But yeah, I just ignore it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So let us have a look at our first game, and we'll just bring this up here. He says, is it going to work? I've got the white circle of death at my end, which is typical. Let us... No, it's thinking about it. I can see the white circle going round. Let's take that out. Let me reload that. We're going to. The first game, obviously, was it was while we were on air last week, and it was Crystal Palace 3, Arsenal 0. Now, obviously, we'll talk about our game against Crystal Palace a bit later, but that was a surprise, and it was almost like a doorbell ringing to get all the Arteta out fans back on the air. It was a surprise result, that, wasn't it?
It was, but I've said it before about Arsenal. The squad is young, and they're going to have games where they don't perform. They're going to be hit and miss because they're a young squad. And also, it's the Premier League. Nothing is guaranteed in this division. Nothing. And the fans have the right to their opinion, but they're not. They don't think logically about what's actually going to happen. They want to finger out because he wasn't getting fourth. There's still a chance, although it has slimmed down, that Arsenal could finish fourth this season. And that is a good season for them. And I just think, get a bit of a grip of yourself, to be honest.
Yeah, and from where they were last season, and I actually had a huge, and I had to apologise to the guy because he was a Man United fan. I actually had a massive argument with this guy last night. The fans, like the Arsenal fans and the Man United fans especially, they seem to think, well, if we finish fifth, we're in the Europa League. That's just not good enough. A Man United fan was saying yesterday, sooner finish 8th and 7th and not be in the conference. And if they are saying we're in the conference, then we'll play the kids. It'll be good experience for them. And I'm just thinking, that is why the fans of the 14 other clubs in the division hate the fans of the Big Six.
Yeah, I mean, it's not every fan. We can't tell them all with that.
No, of course it's not. No.
When you hear that, it does make you think, are you having a laugh? Like, I'd love for Leicester to finish in those positions,
Yes, yeah.
They've been spoiled. A lot of them have obviously been through those Wenger years. They've been spoiled by what they've had, and now they've not got it. They realise how good they had it under those managers. And, both of those clubs have their issues above as well.
Yes.
And until those things are sorted out, I don't think the fans will ever be happy. United fans won't be happy with anything that happens at United while the Glazers are there. So,
yeah. Well, funny enough, I did a poll on Twitter yesterday. It's still got about 42 minutes left, but it was, which team would you sooner see finish 7th and go into the Europa Conference, just to make their fans realise how up their own arses they are. And actually, I was more for Arsenal, but Manchester United came out on top with 67%. Arsenal are currently second with 22%, and Tottenham are third with 10th. And yeah, I do get it. As you look at sort of a lot of that, and it isn't every fan. Of course, it's not every fan. I know that, but you look at Leicester fans and going mad because of what's happened this season, because we've had a couple of good seasons. We are fickle as fans, aren't we?
Yeah, and that's the thing that I try and just think of the overall picture. When we're not doing so great this season, well, it's not because there's suddenly something wrong with the squad or Rodgers has suddenly become a bad manager. No. It's because of the injuries, and it's been proven right, because now we're getting players back. What do you know? We're starting to win.
Yeah, and I think the fact that, and I know it's been a topsy-turvy season. I mean, Scott says here, can we start the season from now?
Yeah.
that would be nice, Scott. That would be nice. But to me, like I say, if anything, Brendan's come out bigger in my eyes because of what he's achieved. And I know it's been a funny league season where everybody can beat anybody sort of on the day. But to do what he's done and to keep us, in another season, would have probably been 15th, 16th with the performances and the form we had. So the fact that he's kept us sort of mid-table, I think we'll look back on this and go, yeah, at the end of the season, it wasn't as bad as we were all saying midway through. But
it's so easy to not see it over the whole season. Really, we can't judge any manager until the season's over, because so much can happen in those last games that you just can't do it. You have to wait till the season's over, and when that season is over, you can judge it, but you've got to judge it on what has occurred.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, we've actually got 3 games in hand on Wolves, and we're 9 points behind. But you've got to win those games, and one of them is against Chelsea. The next game,
I feel we can beat Chelsea.
It depends which Chelsea turn up, doesn't it? Preferably not the one that put 6 the goal on at the weekend, but the one that and then they've got other interest. They might have an FA Cup final to look forward to. They've certainly got European football to try and cling back. So their minds might be on other places. So I don't think it's definitely not out the realms that we're not going to beat them. And then you've got, we'll talk about Leicester later. We've got Everton sort of coming up, and look what they did at the weekend. But then again, it was Man United. We talked briefly before we came live about the PSV game. And like we said, we could still be playing now, and I don't think we'd be scoring. But I was actually impressed with the performance.
Yeah, I went to the game and I was impressed with more the second half than the first. I thought the first kind of 10 minutes were a bit rusty. I don't know what was going on, but I felt like we could have won the game easily. We could have lost it though. I mean, they did have chances, so I suppose 0-0 is a bonus,
I mean, the thing I think we've got to say from me, we haven't lost. It's half time. It's 0-0. We're now going to their place, and it would have been nicer for it to be the other way around. But we're going to their place now. As the home team, the way I look at it is the pressure's on them because they're going to be expected to win because they're at home. The fans are going to be, up for it. They're going to sort of have to come at us, and hopefully, depending on the team that Brendan picks, and we know there's going to be changes because there was 7 changes at the weekend. But we could hit them on the break, and I just hope he doesn't go and play too defensive, as Scott was saying. He does tend to like to close the game down, and I hope he's not sort of thinking penalties.
I don't think he's going into this game thinking penalties. However, if it gets to 85 minutes and it's still 0-0, then we're thinking about penalties. You've got to play the game.
Yes.
But no, I think they'll be going there to win, and that's what they should be doing. It's a chance to progress in Europe, as we said, and it's a good chance for us to get back in the Europa League. And then who knows what happens there? When we've got a fully fit squad, hopefully we'll do a lot better. But we can only take it one game at a time. It's cliche, but it's true.
It's true. No, it is.
Whatever you need to do to win is what you have to do.
Looking at sort of the team that he picked for the weekend, I thought he might have been saving Daka for this game. Would you start with Daka or Iheanacho in the return?
I would start with Iheanacho because I feel he played really well in this game. He held the ball up really well. He got other players into the game. Obviously, we want Vardy there, but that's not an option, so we have to make that decision. And I would personally play Iheanacho just because of his hold-up play. He brings other players into it, Barnes, Talisman, and just I just think he's going to be the better option.
I think I've heard some criticism recently of Iheanacho, and I think it's totally unfair. I mean, he was being judged a few seasons ago on 10-minute performances, and we know that that's not fair. He is not a Vardy. We know that. He does play better with 2, but Brendan likes to play with the one up front. But there's a lot more to his game than just scoring goals. And I know a striker, and we know he can score goals. Let's be honest with you, he scored some really important goals for us over the last few seasons. Top scorer last season. But he does bring a lot extra. Like you say, he does hold that ball up to let other players come in. And he's actually got a nice, a big guy and a striker. He's got a nice touch and can go past players.
Yeah, I think the hold-up play will be important on Thursday as well because there's going to be points in the game where they have the possession because they're at home. They're going to play differently. I think we'll see a very different PSV. I don't think they'll be as bad as they were in the home leg. And that means when you do get it, keeping hold of it is important, and that's what I think he's better at doing.
I mean, I know what you're saying there, Scott, and I'm kind of thinking, should we be starting Daka because we know he can do it in Europe, and he's probably better in Europe than he is in the Premier League because it's more his style of play. But I just think, like you say, what extras that Iheanacho brings, I think Patson's still got to kind of He's still settling in at the end of the day. It's his first season here. And, bring him on, like you say, at 85 minutes or so, or even 80, 75, when their defence is tiring, hopefully. And that's when we can make the most of his speed. I just hope if he is brought on, he doesn't take Iheanacho off just in case it does go to penalties.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously what Rodgers gets paid for, is to make those decisions.
Yes.
I don't think penalties are going to be... I don't think it's going to go to penalties. I think someone will win the game. Yeah. But, like you say, if it gets to 85, 86 minutes and it is still 0-0, that it's got to be a consideration. And then you are thinking, well, they should decide it before the game, who's taking those penalties. At least those first 5, who's taking them, and are they still on the pitch?
Yes.
And hopefully the answer is yes. Yeah. And they're your best penalty takers. Like Maddison's going to take one, Yuri will take one.
Yeah.
After that, Barnes will probably take one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and I think there's extra time first, though. So I mean, I don't think we should be panicking too much about penalties.
Nothing really happens in extra time, though, does it? Because teams don't lose the game. Sometimes I just wish they'd just go straight to penalties, because nothing happens in that extra time, and it's just
everybody's too nervous. And if you make a mistake in the extra time that leads to a goal, then you're probably not going to be able to get it back. But that's a very good point. Maybe it should go straight to penalties. But I like penalties when it's not my team involved.
Yeah,
do it that way. Now then, back to the matches and Friday night. And we've got Newcastle against Wolves, and I've just realised that I have put the positions in the top right-hand corner, but it's under my logo. I really need to start thinking this through. I had this down as a Wolves. I think I had it down as a draw, but Newcastle, they'd obviously lost. They'd had a bit of form. They're safe. They're not going to go down. We've got them next week.
Neither of these teams have got anything to worry about, have they?
No, not at all. But I think sort of, they are going to be sort of from next season going to be sort of challenging for that, top 6 place. They're going to be making the buys that they need. Were you surprised with this result?
No, because Newcastle are always better at St James's Park than they are away. You talk about the 12th man, but it is true there. I think, the Newcastle fans are absolutely amazing. And they're still, I think, on that crest of a wave of, the Ashley finally being gone. They're getting further in that league. That we're not worrying. They're not, I don't think that, I think they are, because I think that's the mentality they've got in. They are worrying about going down, but I don't think they need to. And there's optimism. There's real optimism that it's going to change for Newcastle. And like I say, they're going to be in that top 6, not even having to worry about the bottom half. I don't think that's going to happen next season, because I think it's a slow build there. They have said we want to be challenging for the league in 10 years.
Yes.
That's going to take a lot of money, which they've got, but, it's got to be spent properly. And this is what I said, you can spend all the money in the world, look at Everton, and it not get you where you want to be. And that's my worry for Newcastle, because I'm not sure the people who are owning this club now are what you call footballing people who actually know what football, what the kind of players they're going to need.
Yes. Well, I guess that's why you have sort of the managers and the directors of football and what have you. But I mean, they do say, they speak. When you heard them when they were doing the takeover, they weren't coming in and going like, we're going to win the title next season. They said it's a slow, like you said, a slow burner, and a couple of seasons maybe sort of, like you say, top half and then build from that. But and I've got to say, credit to Eddie Howe, he's doing a good job up there.
Yeah, I just think it's the whole deal up there. The new owners who seem to genuinely want this club to succeed, and haven't had an owner that's wanted that for a long time. If Ashley had, he would have spent the money. It's not like he didn't have the money. He had the money, he just didn't want to spend it. And so I just think it's everything. And I hate it when people say, "Oh, big clubs need to be in the Premier League. We need, Villa, we need Leeds, we need Newcastle." But for that area, especially up in Newcastle, they need Newcastle to be successful. They need Newcastle to be at least in the Premier League, because it means so much to them up there.
No. Indeed. So the next game, talking if that one was a shock, because I had that one down as a draw. This one, in the prediction show, none of us went for Everton. All three of us went for a Man United win. Does this say more about Man United than Everton? Or because I don't think anybody would have said Everton were going to win this.
No, it's not a result that we thought would happen.
No.
I mean, Gordon was credited with the goal, but it did take a wicked deflection.
Yeah.
But after that, there was nothing from United. There was no fight. No, right, we need to get back into this game. We should not be losing to Everton in the position they're in. We should want to get, top four. We're still fighting for it. We still want it. There was absolutely nothing. And, a lot of people have been very critical of Man United because they lost to Everton, which is wrong. It shouldn't be because they've lost to Everton. It should be because of the performance.
Yes.
Does that make sense? It's like, we can't lose to Everton. No, you can, and you have.
Yes.
Don't be mad at that. Be mad at the performance, because if the performance was there, you wouldn't have lost to Everton.
And I do feel a little bit sorry to Everton because they fought hard. They won. Yes, it took a bit of a deflection, or a lot of a deflection, like you say, for the goal. But give them credit. They because I did the watch along the second half with Dan from Turf Moorhouse TV on the Everton Burnley game. And funnily enough, I'd finished my show and I'd noticed that it was 1-0 to Burnley. And I went on being all cheerful and what have you, just after they'd equalised with the first penalty, which was dodgy to say the least. But at the end of the day, you can't put your hands on players in the box.
No,
and I didn't, Burnley were on a high. I didn't see this, as I say, coming at all. But they're in a fight, Everton. And, people say about Frank isn't a good manager or whatever. He's still young in his terms. And he's taken on. It's not like Gerrard. When Gerrard came to Villa, they weren't in the worst position possible, and they're pretty much still where they are. And he'll be given the time, I think, with that club. But Frank took on. This was a difficult job, and he could have easily walked away. Not like there's rumours about that he wasn't offered other jobs, etc., etc. But you've got to give some credit to Everton for this.
Yeah, I mean, a win's a win, especially when you're down there. And on the Frank thing, I'm not sure how he decides where he's going, because he went to Derby when they were in a pretty good position, actually, to be fair.
Yeah.
He probably thought, well, I'll have a couple of seasons in Championship and then move up.
Yeah.
He then obviously went to Chelsea, which I get his heartstrings, but knowing the situation that it was there, knowing that you weren't going to have a transfer window, knowing, how, gung-ho your owner is, probably wasn't the smartest move, especially when, like you said, he's so early on in his career. And that's why the likes of Gerrard and Rooney, they're earning their stripes, so to speak. And they're not going to the clubs that they really want to be at, whether they're getting offered those jobs or not. Rooney probably not.
No. Funnily enough, with Frank, and I understand him going to Chelsea. I think he just probably wished that Chelsea offer had come maybe in a couple of years' time. But the thing is, you can never. It's like when when managers are offered the England job. You're thinking, if I don't take it now, it may never get offered again. Exactly. So I guess he went to Chelsea. So as you say, a heartstring move. And I think as well, you look at his mindset, and it's like, well, hang on, we're not allowed to go out and buy players. So if I don't do well, I've got the biggest excuse going here. But he did. Let's be honest with you, most teams would have been happy with what Frank got that season, which was again Champions League football, and he brought a lot of youngsters through. Obviously, the problems when he was allowed to buy players, it all went kind of up. But I don't. Whether he was the right manager for this, that is the only thing. I don't necessarily say he's out of a job, and you're offered a job, and he's probably been offered a lot of money and a great bonus if you can keep them up. But I sometimes wonder when these clubs are in this position, Fulham offering Claudio Ranieri the job. Okay, I can kind of get that, but he didn't keep them up. So what do Watford do when they want a manager to keep them up? They go to the manager that a couple of seasons ago didn't keep Fulham up. And I do wonder if these people that run these clubs really, they just see a name and they think, yeah, well, we'll give him the job.
Well, yeah, on the Ranieri one, I wonder whether he actually even had to have an interview for the Watford job, whether he actually interviewed for it.
Yeah.
I think because I always think interviewing for a manager's job is what should happen. You should have to say how you're going to do, how you play and all that stuff. But it never seems to happen. It's just like, right, we're getting rid of this manager and this manager's coming in. Well, have you actually sat down and talked with that manager and put forward what you actually want from them?
Yeah.
And if they said, well, yeah, I can do that. I feel I can do that. This is how I'm going to do it. So maybe it is better to sack your manager and actually take some time to decide who your next manager is. And then you don't get those kinds of situations.
You don't, but do you think also as well, you don't make the decision to sack a manager on one game. It's been a series. It's been building up, so you know that manager may be going. Now, I think if you're running a business and your sales team leader or whatever might be moving on to another position, you're thinking about who can replace him. Yeah. And I just wonder with the thought. So for me, I want Everton to go down only because I like to see the big clubs suffer occasionally, and I'd like to see the likes of Luton and what have you have a chance to come up and give it a go. But like I said, I think he was
for 86 years, Everton.
Is it right? Yeah.
It's about time they went down.
It is. Yeah, come on. Yeah, it's your turn. Take one for the team. But yes, no. Thing is, though, I mean, overall, they're not the most successful club. Let's be honest with you. They've had periods, when Howard Kendall was there, and obviously Gary Lineker went there. But overall, they've not sort of set the Premier League world alight. To me, they are that almost team.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, they've obviously never won the Premier League, but have they even got close, second, third? I don't actually know the answer to that.
No, I think they got into Champions League that season when everybody got banned for Heysel.
Right.
But anyway, we'll see. We'll see. It's given them a fighting chance.
For sure.
Yeah, it has given them a fighting chance. So next up, Arsenal Brighton. As if losing to your neighbours wasn't bad enough. Arsenal then went one better and decided to lose to the team that at the time were bottom of the Performance League. They hadn't won in about 7 games. They'd lost 7 in a row. They'd managed to sort of get a draw, and then they come Brighton and do this. I don't know what you can say about Arsenal. I mean, they started the season badly. They came back well, and I did say I thought they would finish 4th at one place, and I did actually say on an Arsenal channel 4th was theirs to lose. Looks like they are losing it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the worst thing for them is that they could be losing it to Spurs, which obviously just makes it even worse.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on. Like, it's just now they need consistency. On the day, Arsenal can beat anybody in this division.
Yeah.
But they're not consistent, and that's what you obviously need if you're going to get top 4 or even challenge to win the league. So that's what they'll need to do next. I don't know how much money Arteta is going to get in the summer to spend, but he's going to need some because, if you don't spend, you fall further behind. So yeah, it'd be interesting. Not a result we were expecting at all. I thought Brighton had given up for this season altogether. So to go there and win was surprising. But again, that's Brighton. They're not exactly what you call consistent either.
No.
Play out the skins one game and then absolutely diabolical the next. So
I mean, I actually went for the Arsenal win. Brad, obviously, because his girlfriend's a big Brighton fan, he didn't go against them, so he went for the draw. But to me, I mean, when you look at Brighton, everybody a few months ago was, what a wonderful manager Graham Potter is. How good is Graham Potter? He'll be the next England manager. Let's sack Rodgers and get Potter in. And then suddenly they lost, like I say, 6 or 7, I think, on the trot, and they just plummeted down. If they hadn't had the good start that they'd had, they would have been in trouble. And then on the other side, you've got Arteta. And I think, if Arteta was at any other club apart from so I'd hate to call them the big six, but those clubs, he probably would be given time, because what he's trying to do, I think, is he's getting rid of the troublemakers, he's getting rid of the players that aren't performing, but that takes a couple of seasons. And unfortunately, I don't think fans of those clubs are as patient as fans of other clubs, and we're not overly patient.
I don't think fans in general are patient, and it's one of those careful what you wish for things, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Because in the I think one season they didn't get top 4, and that was it.
Yes.
Well, now it's been how many since they've had it? So it's kind of one of those things. But do you think at some point Arteta has got to start challenging for top 4 at least? Because with the squad that they have, the Arsenal fans are going to expect that. And to be fair, they probably should. But there's so many teams going for that top 4 that, Liverpool and Man City, who obviously we'll come on to in a bit, but those two are just so far above everybody else. They're 1 and 2, going to be 1 and 2 every season for a few seasons more, I think. However, whichever way round. Then obviously you've got Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs under Conte. Us when we get our players back, perhaps we're going to be challenging for that as well.
Yeah. There are a lot more teams, aren't there, challenging for those positions now?
6, 7 doesn't go into 4. Someone's going to lose out, and I think this season, with the last couple of results they've had, that may just be Arsenal.
I mean, like you say, it should be, but I mean, at the moment, they're 11th on the form table, and that does. I mean, Tottenham are 2nd in the form table. If I was an Arsenal fan, and I know I do wind Arsenal fans up all the time about Arteta in and trust the process, but 11th when your nearest competitor is 2nd in the form table, they've lost 3 and won 3 in the last 6. That isn't top 4 form.
No, but it can change as quick as it was good. It changed to being not so good. It can change back.
Yes.
And that's what, Spurs could go on a run and lose 3 games on the trot. Do you know what I mean? It's still very close, and anything can happen. And like I said, the Premier League is the most kind of unpredictable league in the world to me.
It is this season, definitely.
I think like every season, though, the top can beat bottom can beat top, and vice versa. It just, you've got to play on the day.
Yes. And they're still sat in 11th, Brighton, in fairness to them. I've not been Graham Potter's biggest fan, only because I need to see him win something for him to be this superb manager that everybody says he is. Maybe if he was at a different club, he may do better. But
I think he would find it hard to win much at Brighton. Because they don't, they don't. It's not that they don't try and compete, that's the one way to put it, but they just don't have the money to compete. And unfortunately, in that top half of the top half, that's what it's about. It's about money. Money buying those players.
And there's a lot of teams, and I put Brighton in this bracket as well, that have started off well, and you thought like, they could be surprised, European challengers, and then it kind of slopes off a lot. And I think Brighton has been one of those teams, but they're around mid-table, and I think if they finish top 10, I think it will be a good season for them.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and then I thought our record was in jeopardy here. Seriously, did.
Well, I didn't know this result when I was watching Match of the Day, and I was watching it with Chris, my boyfriend, and he was when it got to well, I think probably 5. I was like, and he was like, no, don't worry. He knew what I was thinking, because I was thinking exactly the same as you.
Yes.
But this is Southampton, isn't it? This is the problem with Southampton. They are ripe for a very heavy loss. You know, they've had a 9-0 against us, a 9-0, I think, against United as well. I think their 9-0 was against Southampton, and now 6 for Chelsea. So they're just very prone to it, and I'm not entirely sure why.
No.
But then is it just that they're, you know, on the beach already because they're safe? I don't know.
Yeah, it's strange because, again, it was a team that I thought, they've moved on. They've got a good manager. I like Ralph Usenthal, you know, and all credit to Southampton for sticking with him after he's had a few of these results. A lot of clubs wouldn't. In fact, well, Scott says here, Chris, you say about Potter not impressing you, and I understand why, but I have a similar argument about Ralph Usenthal. Again, that's fair point, Scott. You know, he hasn't yet done it, but just for me, you know, I think Ralph, he's taken those big knocks, you know, and he's not hidden away and he's come out. But, you know, look at that form there for Southampton. You know, 1 draw and 4 losses in the last 5. And, you know, they're now down to 14th. Chelsea, I think, you know, they had a couple of bad results before this, but they managed to get this win in, and a good win. Like I say, Southampton just confused me. I just don't know what to make of them.
Yeah, I mean, you can call it once 9-0, you can call unlucky. And obviously they are different teams in different seasons.
Yeah.
This isn't like they're having, you know, 2 9-0s and a 6-0 in the same season, because I think that would be, you know, probably a sacking of a manager. But they do seem very right for it. And, you know, Chelsea coming off those 2 defeats, it's kind of a good game. It's the kind of team you'd want after 2 defeats to try and get that win.
Yes. I think it's interesting because I remember when, and I hate to say the name of this guy, but the guy that followed Martin O'Neill when he took over, that first season, had we not had such a good start to the season, we would have been in the relegation fight. And I think there's a lot of these teams like the Brightons, like Southampton, that have got to be thinking, thank God we had such a good start.
Yeah, and, you know, you can only do that for so long.
Yeah.
You can only do it for so long, and eventually it will catch up with you, because there will be a season where there's not 3 teams worse than you.
Yeah.
And you don't have that good start. But yeah, Southampton are safe, and I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
But like I said, they're just on the beach already.
And thank you, Chelsea, because I'd actually did go for the win to Chelsea there. I got one right. It wasn't a high scoring. I only got 4 points. So, but you know, it's a bad week when you get 4 points in the prediction league and you're top. Everybody did worse than you. But yeah, well done. And I actually predicted Chelsea to win the league this season. So they have kind of sort of tailed off a little bit, shall we say. So next up, let's have a look here and bring that in. Watford against Leeds. Is this the game that relegated Watford, do you think?
I think they've been gone for a while. I've just not seen anything that makes me think they're going to stay up. Yeah, I just think they're gone already. I don't think, you know, sometimes, like when we were bottom, we were losing by the odd goal.
Yeah.
You could see like the shoots of something maybe happening.
Yeah.
I don't see that with Watford. I don't see it with Norwich.
No.
There's just nothing that you can kind of hold on to as a fan of either of those teams to say, you know what, this is what's going to keep us up.
Yeah.
This is the player that's going to score the goals to keep us up. This is the defender that's going to keep us clean sheets. And neither of those, you just can't say it.
I mean, everybody knows I have my rants about Watford and Norwich, and I have nothing against those clubs. I have nothing against the fans. The fans are reasonable enough. It's just I feel the fans deserve better. The fans of Watford and Norwich deserve better from the owners of those clubs.
Yeah. I mean, as I said before, it's so difficult because you don't want to spend above your means and then go down and end up in trouble. Although obviously you get your parachute payment.
Yeah.
But you don't have to spend money to put a team together that can stay up in the division. Brentford haven't got a lot of money.
No.
But they're going to stay in the division this year. Brighton haven't got a lot of money. They've been in Premier League however many seasons. So it's possible. You just need to, like you say, have some fight. And again, even if you're going down, go down with fight. Because that's what the fans deserve. Like you say, at least go down with some sort of fight, trying to win games.
Yeah.
And I didn't see that there's any fight with Watford or, as I say, Norwich.
Yeah, I mean, totally right. And you can't sustain a football club by going down and getting the parachute payments, coming up and getting a year's payments from the Premier League, going down with the Premiership. I mean, Watford, I've said this so many times, they were in 12th when they sacked their first manager of the season. Yeah. I mean, we've got a Watford guest coming on Wednesday at 7:00 for the big fat football quiz. And Craig, who does the questions for that, says, well, we do like 5 Leicester questions, 5 general football questions, and 10 home team questions. And Brad says I'll get him to name the last 10 managers, but that will only be a couple of seasons, which you probably would be. Like I say, you look at Sheffield United when they came up. Yes, they went down, but they had a damn good first season. Leeds had a good season last time when they came up. Hull, it's just these teams have some fight about them. And what I do like about Leeds is when you speak to Leeds fans, they've been there. I remember playing Leeds in the 3rd tier. I think it was Steve Howard who got I spoke to Steve Howard for the website, and he said he don't know how he got up for that goal because he was absolutely knackered and he needed oxygen virtually afterwards, but he got up to run in and score the goal. I think that sort of helped us towards promotion. But what I like about the Leeds fans is we're Leeds, this is where we deserve to be, and they are saying, God, yes, this is where we've been. We were that close to going out of business because they had the sort of the spend mentality when Leary was manager. And I like that, the fact that they are appreciating what they've got. Again, I don't know if the new manager is the right choice or not, but I don't think they're going to go down now.
No, I don't think they're going down. I do think there's everybody hates us mentality about Leeds, but I don't think there's we deserve to be here. But I do think there's a mentality of everybody hates us. Well, no. Do you know what I mean? Ref haters, other managers haters, other players, haters. That's just not the truth. But I think there's a bit of that. But
I think it used to be when Leeds were like the Man United of their day, when Man United was successful of their day. And I think everybody that's when they got the Dirty Leeds nickname and what have you. But I hope they stay up. I want them to stay up. And as I say, as a club, they do deserve, like you say, like Newcastle, I think it's a club that does deserve Premier League football. And like I say, it's just the fans, like I say, have impressed me. It's like we're here on merit. We got ourselves here, but we're going to enjoy it because we know we've no right to stay here. And maybe some of the clubs could learn a bit from that. But Leeds are 16th now. They've got 33 points. They're 9 points clear of Burnley. And in Burnley got games in hand, but I can't see them winning there. So I think we can say that Leeds are safe. Like I say, I went for Leeds. So did I go for the draw? I think I went for the draw on that one. Yes, I did. Villa. I mean, obviously Steve went, or Dan in Steve's place went for Tottenham. Went for Villa because he can't stand Tottenham. But again, another team that is up and down, and they have got a new manager. They have spent a bit of the Grealish money, but not all of it. But I think I like the way that their owners talk again. They're not taking anything for granted. And it's not like we're just going to spend the money. I think Grealish will get a bit of time. I think Gerrard will get a bit of time there. because it's his first season down here. It depends when the Liverpool job comes along, and hopefully he doesn't do like you say, a Frank Lampard and jump too soon. But
yeah, I mean, Gerrard has actually been kind of on the record saying that he's not ready for that job, and he's right. He's not, because that's a huge job that he will not want to mess up.
Yeah,
you know, he'll want to be successful when he goes there. So yeah, I think he knows. And to be fair, they've got Klopp for the next however many years. So
yes, yeah,
I don't think Klopp's going any. You know, he's not going to be sacked by Liverpool. It'll be his choice to leave. So
yes. Yeah, and it would be nice. I mean, this is never going to happen, I know, but when you've got a manager like Klopp and you've got, say, somebody like Gerrard that you would hope would be coming in, like I say, when he's got a bit more experience, maybe for that last season to have them in together, so that Gerrard can. I mean, I know he knows Liverpool, but he can get a feel of like how Klopp's been doing it and of the players at the time, because obviously he won't know the players.
Yeah, he knows the club obviously back to front, but and he'll know the plans. He'll get more. It'll be like a Arteta situation where he'll get more time because of who he is. As Liverpool manager, Gerrard will get more time than anybody else because he is godlike up there for obvious reasons. So yeah, eventually I see it happening, but it all depends on what Gerrard does in his career. You know, he's going to have to win something before he goes there.
Yes.
He's not going to go there unless he wins something, unless they do a Lampard stroke Arteta where it is, you know, a heartstring kind of thing.
Yes.
But I feel if he got offered the job, even now, he would take it because, like you say, that job's not going to come up every couple of years. You know, you've got to maybe have got to take it when you get offered it.
Yeah, I mean, Villa at the moment, and good evening, John. How the devil are you, sir? I hope you are well. Villa sort of dropped down to 12th. They're below us now. Conte at Spurs. I mean, that's another enigma. He came in following sort of the Nuno disaster, and I think I've never known probably a manager come in with such to be able to say this is what I want, and if you don't give it me, I'm not coming. And Spurs are in such a situation following Nuno that they had to sort of kind of say, yes, okay, what do you want? You know, he had a very, very good start. He hadn't lost in, I think it was the first 5, 6, whatever it was, games. They then had a bit of a wobble. He's got them back on firing on all cylinders now. If Harry Kane doesn't score, Son does. That's going to be a big question mark for next season, whether they can keep Kane or not. Because whether you love him or hate him, he does bring a lot to the game, even when he's not scoring. And, you know, they're up to that 4th place now. And again, I think if he keeps them in that 4th place, he's done a bloody good job at Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, again, before he came, would you have said Spurs were going to get top 4? No.
No.
Do you know? Yes. So from that kind of, you know, situation, yes, he's done a great job, and he's a class manager. He's had success everywhere he's gone, and that, you know, you don't do that by fluke. He's obviously a good manager. Will Harry Kane be a Tottenham player? I think he will, purely because I don't know where else he's going to go. He's not going to Liverpool. He's not going to Chelsea, and I don't think he's going to Man City either. So where's he going? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's that he's dying to stay at Tottenham like he tries to make out. Because if he was, he wouldn't have pushed so hard for a move last summer.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think the offers are going to come in like they did last summer. You know, I think
no. I mean, he was quite happy to and saying, "Hi, Jordan, how are you? Welcome along. We'll be getting to your match soon." You know, he was happy to sign that contract with the big get out clause. I don't think Man City can. Well, yes, they could afford it, but do they want £2 billion players sat on their books? But I think Kane will look at it, like you say, and say, well, actually, under Conte, we might actually win something. And I think this is the best chance. And I know I joke all the time about how long has it been since Tottenham, won a trophy, etc., etc. But I think this is the best chance they've got of actually winning something.
Yeah, Tottenham are so kind of frustrating, isn't it?
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Because they've had, that Champions League final obviously was a huge one, but
yeah,
when we won the league, they should probably have done. In fact, they should have done. They, if they should have beat Chelsea that season.
Yeah.
So it's hard to keep saying, well, you know what, he's going to win something. He's too good. And I've heard people say, Harry Kane's too good not to win anything.
Mm.
Well, you know what, Steven Gerrard didn't win a Premier League either.
Yeah.
So, do you know what I mean? Like, it's
totally agree with you. Yeah.
And I do think he probably had to go last summer if he was going to go.
Yeah.
Age is becoming an issue. It's not over. It's not over. And I think that's why Man City wanted Grealish over Kane, because obviously Grealish is younger.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were never going to have both at 100 mil each, because at the time there was talkings about getting points and stuff deducted, wasn't there, because of fair play. So if they'd done that, that's putting themselves right in the shooting range. So they weren't never going to get both. And obviously they went for Grealish, which I think probably was the right decision overall. But
yeah, and you've got to look at it and say, well, a 19-year-old Luke Thomas has got more trophies than however old he is, Harry Kane. But if you want to wind Tottenham fans up, of course, you can say that. Arsenal fan Anthony, sorry.
Let's hope in the winter that he gets a trophy.
Yeah.
With England. I think he gets a trophy in the winter.
Anthony, big up, Chris. Hope you are. Yeah, welcome. You're safe to come in. We've talked Arsenal. You're safe to come in, mate. We've been there, seen it, dived off that particular bridge. Again, I did go for a Spurs win on that one. Spurs are second in the form table, and as a Spurs fan at the moment, I think you've got to be as happy as you can be. We move on to Sunday's games, and I'd forgotten this one was going on, to be honest with you. But I actually, we all went for a Brentford win here. West Ham got the Europa League quarterfinals either side of this. I didn't see it being a 2-0, to be honest with you. But Brentford, and when you look at the wins, look at the form table again. West Ham, I think, their worry at the start of the season when they were there thinking, we're going to do a Leicester City this season after last season. Could this be good? And I went on a West Ham show and we were comparing players. And, they said at the start, the big thing that could catch up with them is the size of the squad. And I think it slowly is doing. And, you look at that, the consistency isn't there. West Ham fans, they do like Jake from West Ham Unofficial always says, it hurts me neck looking down the table at you. Well, Jake, it hurts me every time one of those wheels that comes off your wagon hits me on the head. You're going along, because the wheels are coming off the West Ham wagon, isn't it? Aren't they?
Yeah, but I feel like they were always going to. People always say, who's going to be the next Leicester? That's not going to happen. Like, the top six is the top six for a reason, and it hurts me to say that, because I don't want it that way any more than anybody else, but it's facts. 9 times out of 10 money speaks, and West Ham haven't got the money to be buying the squad size. When you're doing 2, 3, 4 tournaments, so you're going to have obviously Europe, the Premier League, the FA Cup and the League Cup over the season, things are bound to have to suffer, and unfortunately at the minute it's their Prem form.
Yeah. Do you think West Ham, and we'll come on to Brentford in a minute, but do you think West Ham suffer from, when you're comparing, say, West Ham to Brentford, you've got a team that potentially in West Ham could be should certainly be top 10 with the players they've got at the moment, but they're kind of going for those more expensive players when maybe they haven't got the heart, the sort of players that Brentford are going for. And obviously the squad value is a lot less at Brentford, although they've got Eriksen there. But there's more of a bit like a Leicester spirit at Brentford, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, getting Ericsson was huge for Brentford. Like, I'm not so sure. Like, I don't want to say that they're winning because of him, because that isn't strictly true. They were winning before him. They'd won games before him. But it's that end of season when your squad starts to get a little tired. Having that world-class player can be the difference in a game.
Yes,
it can be the difference between drawing and winning. It can be the difference between winning and losing and drawing. That just spark, that one bit of individual brilliance, that good cross, that superb goal, whatever it be, that's what he possesses. So getting him, I think, has helped Brentford. I'm not so sure they'd be doing so great had he not come, because that must give you such a boost having that in your in your dressing room when you go out.
But then they went and got him. They took the risk on him when nobody else wanted to. So and it's funny now that he's being linked, Christian Eriksen, with Arsenal, Tottenham, and those sort of teams. And you're thinking, and Brad said this in the show, he really hopes that on the last day of the season, they're interviewing Christian Eriksen, and he said, actually, I'm staying because they didn't want me when I was, Brentford took me in, and I'd love sounded like Kevin Keegan then, but I'd love that to happen. And the thing with Brentford as well is they have been beating the teams that are around them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to, downplay Brentford's kind of success this season, and it is a major success. When they come up, the budget they had, they were everyone's first to go down. So to stay up and not to be in that relegation battle really is extremely great season. I worry for them next season because second season syndrome is a real thing, and I think they will find it a lot harder next season. But right now they've just got to enjoy what's happening and enjoy the winning. And they're doing brilliant.
That said, I mean, looking at Brendan's, I was going to say then, Brentford's form, like I say, the two games that they had was they beat Norwich 3-1 and they beat Burnley 2-0. And like I say, I think were two massive games for them. The ones that Norwich and Burnley should have been looking at winning. They obviously lost to the best team in the league, which was Leicester, 2-1. But then in fairness, they've not just sat on, they've gone out and beat Chelsea 4-1 and now West Ham 2-0. They're
punching way above the weight at the end of the day. That's all you can do. Yes. And they are giving a real effort to stay in the Premier League. They want to be a Premier League team next season, and they are going to. No. They are going to.
I'm going to say good evening to Mrs. Herbert. Apparently she's watching this, and I am not going to say what you've asked me to say, Anthony, because I don't know if you're winding me up or not, but cross your legs, Mrs. Herbert. That's all I will say. So well done to Brentford. Out of the three that came up, I think we all knew what was going to happen with Watford and Norwich. It's pre-written, so it is nice to see Brentford doing well. And Brentford, they're fifth. I mean, fifth in the form table, and to me, that kind of sums them up really. West Ham are down in 10th, and West Ham, you can't put all your eggs in one basket, and if you're not careful, they are going to drop out of the European places, I think. But there we go.
Yeah, and but they could win the Europa League. The Europa League, and then that solves all the European problems, doesn't it? It puts them straight in the Champions League. So
I mean, don't get me wrong. I hope they do, because I always want to see English teams do well, in the European Cups. And I like clubs that I don't include as being the Big Six to do well. But we'll see how it goes. Now, talking of the two teams that they beat, Norwich and Burnley, they met at Carrow Road. Now, Dan from Turf Moorhouse TV, I cannot repeat what he was saying after this. And I did say to him at the time, when I did the watch along for the Burnley-Everton game, I said, it's really impressed me how you fought to win that game. You went 1-0 up, then you went 2-1 down, then you came back. I said, if you play like that week in, week out, you've got a chance of staying up. But I did say this game will count for nothing if you don't go and beat Norwich, because that's a 6-pointer for you. And
Yeah,
I've got to be honest with you, it
thing,
didn't turn up.
No, and that's the thing. And it's kind of, they seem to be, well, we'll win and then we'll lose 2 or 3 and then we'll win. And that's not how they're going to get out of the situation they're in. They need to be consistently winning. And it's easier said than done, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
They know that. They know what they've got to do. All the teams down there know what they've got to do. They just can't do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, disappointing result there. I mean, if you're going to Norwich, you expect to win the game.
Yeah, definitely.
You expect to win it.
Definitely. I must admit, when are we playing? Oh, come on to us at the moment. I'm just looking at the thing, and I'm confusing myself here. I mean, I think Norwich. It's too little, too late.
Yeah, wait, too little, too late. Looking at their form, I mean, they've got a draw and a win. If they could keep that going, I mean, it's not mathematically impossible.
No.
So while it's not mathematically impossible, there's always a chance, but it's incredibly slim. Chance is incredibly slim for Norwich to stay in this division.
I think we'd started our Great Escape comeback by this point, hadn't we?
Yes, I think we were starting to get a few wins behind us.
Yeah,
because it was there 3 or we didn't win on the last day to stay up, did we?
No, we drew, I think, at Sunderland to stay up. Yeah,
and that was a couple of weeks before the season finished. So it must have started by now.
Yeah, I think it was about 10, I think it was about 10 games. So, if they don't start doing it now, then but Burnley, I did live in Burnley for 20 years. All my kids were born in Burnley. I have a soft spot for Burnley, and I didn't want to see them go down. But if Everton are going to be on a high, having beaten Man United, and they're going to be taking that against Leicester, and they're going to look at Leicester. We've got to play them twice in the next month or so. And in fairness, they're going to look at that and go, "Yeah, this is Leicester." You never know, the sort of season they've had. You'd hope to beat them, but I'm sorry, Burnley. This I think is the season when, as much as I want it to be Everton purely because of the big club going down, I think it's going to be Burnley and the 3 that are there at the moment.
Yeah, like I said, I think Norwich and Watford have gone. I think if Burnley can just get a couple of wins in a row, I think they could stay up, because I think Everton are so hit and miss. I would expect, I could believe that Everton will lose to us heavily at home when we're at home, but then when we go to Goodson Park, they'll beat us.
Yes.
Because that's what they're like.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They're just so flip. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and Everton have got... Burnley haven't got any games in hand now over Everton. They both played the same number of games. And, Everton have won 2 of the last 5, Burnley only 1. But, there's a 4-point gap now between 18th and 17th. And, you're looking at, you haven't just got to win 1 now, because the goal difference, they're both on -19 as it happens. But you're looking at that and you're thinking you haven't just got to get a win. You've got to get a win and something else, because it's 4 points. So,
and that's if Everton don't win, which, like I say, they're so flip. They can be brilliant one game and rubbish the next. So I think they'll both get points. I think Everton may just stay up. I mean, it's also tight still. 4 points is nothing.
I think there's a lot of
game losing streak, and that 4 points is gone.
Definitely. I think there's a lot of twists left in that at the bottom there still. What I was getting confused about was I was looking at Everton, because I was looking at the bottom of the league, and their next game is against Leicester. But I'm thinking, I'm sure we've got Newcastle before then. But yeah, we've got Newcastle at the weekend. But Everton have got a weekend off. So, and we've got PSV, and we've got Newcastle as well. But talking about Leicester, 4th in the form table, we're up to 9th now. The season's looking rosier, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think, again, obviously watched the game, but it's like they're getting back to their old ways. The squad and the team that is going out there looks like Leicester. Yes, he's still making changes because he's going to have to. We're still in Europe. We've got other things to think about as well. And that's where, earns his crust, is making those decisions.
Yeah.
Being 2-0 up at half time, I'd expect us to win, and they did. Played well. That second goal from Dewsbury Hall was a peach.
I mean, yes, it's. I mean, I say we don't want to build up the guy too big, because all we're going to be doing then is knocking him down. But I mean, this was his match. I mean, that pass for Lookman, it took 4 defenders out with the one ball, and maybe that wouldn't have happened against a Man City or Chelsea. But we were playing Palace, and it was a superb ball, and all the credit to Lookman. And I feel he's maybe not getting the credit he deserves for running through and reading what he was going to do. And then, like I say, you had the Dewsbury Hall goal, having assisted that one. I mean, superbly taken. If you're going to score a first goal, you're going to, in the Premier League, you're going to do it. Well, you want to do it at home, and you're going to want it to be. And I know he said, like, "Oh, I wouldn't have been bothered if it had gone in from bottom." But by God, mate, if you can score a goal, that's the sort you want to be scoring.
In an ideal world, I mean, he should just, what he says is true. I'm sure he'd have been ecstatic if he's, to score anyway. But yes, if you're going to pick and choose how you do it, that's how you want to do it.
Yes, and all credit to him.
In the game, he was the absolute best player on the pitch. He seems like he's just reassured in what he's doing.
Yes,
it doesn't look like he's second guessing himself or trying to question anything. Just looks like he's been there for a long time, really.
He does, and it's great. I mean, I mentioned about sort of local homegrown talent before, but he's not young. He's done his apprentice, 24, 25, I think he is. He's older than sort of the Luke Thomas. He's done his seasons out on loan. Did great for Luton, won everything he could there award wise, and I just think I'm actually less worried about Tielemans leaving now, knowing that we've got Dewsbury Hall in the in that bag. And I'm not saying he's at Youri Tielemans level at all, but again, it's a young prospect. We've got to keep hold of him. But as a performance, I just thought it was a all round. The fact that we've changed 7 players.
Yeah,
and we've now actually got a choice of pairings at centre backs. My God, what's going on? Pinch me. But I just think the whole team played well, and they played together.
Yeah, very much so, and it's really kind of gratifying in a way, because this is what I've been telling people all season will happen. Just wait till he gets the players back. Just wait till we get the players back, and now we have done. Like you say, we've got choices. And now Brendan can actually choose, because before he was playing who he had to play.
Yes.
I've no doubt in my mind that he's not made certain choices out of wanting to make those choices. It's been what he's had to do. And to be fair to Brendan, he never came out and used it as an excuse or, reason for losing. Never.
No.
So that says a lot about his character and what he thinks about the squad.
Yes.
Now we're getting back, we're starting to win, and that's not surprising to me.
No, and I think a lot of the time as well, when he was changing tactics and formations all the time, it wasn't through choice. It was who we'd got to play and trying to get the best out of them. Like I said earlier, if he can get us, well, even if it's as far as we go quarter-final, in the conference, it's as far as we've ever been before. So, there's no disgrace in that. And when you look at the teams that, people say, it's only the conference, but look at the teams that are in there. They're all ex-Champions League teams, apart from Blod Glimt, whatever they're called. But, and he gets us that top 10. I think he's done very well this season for us. But I did have a bit of...
put it into perspective, and you have to take into account the situation. Could a manager that we realistically get do any better? I don't think the answer is yes to that.
Yeah.
So just leave him alone. Let him do his job.
Exactly. But then, of course, I mean, when we drew 2-2 with Palace at their place earlier in the season, in fairness, our 2 goals were totally against the run of play. They were the better team. They probably deserved the win. I don't think they deserved anything out of this game. All credit to Vieira for not making the changes with the FA Cup coming up. It nearly backfired with him when Mitchell had to go off. But, I mean, that penalty fiasco and Zaha celebration, I mean, even the Palace fans were sort of... we did the opposition show at 7 o'clock with Rich from Eagle Eyed Football. And so somebody said about, was he embarrassed about the way that Zaha celebrated? And I mean, the short answer was yes, he was. But I just don't get this encroachment. And I mean, I don't know if you've seen Brad's video or not, but players, they shouldn't be allowed to do this jumpy uppy, stuttering as they go up to take a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know the rules. You don't go until he's touched it. It's not rocket science. The rules are not hard to understand.
No.
But does it really make a difference? Would they have scored that first penalty had he not encroached?
Yes.
No, there's absolutely no difference to the penalty whatsoever. So then you just kind of, you're giving Zaha a second penalty.
Yeah.
So, he wouldn't have scored the first one. So.
And you missed that one as well. In fairness, and I have to be honest with you, when I actually look back at because you obviously see a lot more of the game when you look back at the clips and everything, I think it was the fact that it was Soyuncu that cleared the ball from the first penalty. Right. And I think that is possibly why, and if it is, and I'm no referee, I'm no expert, but that is possibly why it was.
Yeah. I would think that the case then,
yeah. And I get that because, he maybe not have got there. And if somebody else had cleared it, you don't know. It's all a case of ifs and buts.
If you flip it, you're wanting the penalty retaken if it's a Leicester penalty.
Totally.
So in that case, you kind of have to just go, well, you know what? Okay. But he did miss 2 penalties. I felt sorry for Cass because he saved both of them really well.
He did. I mean, it came out to Zaha and he couldn't put it in. It came out. It came out to Salah, and it didn't go in. It came out to Zaha, and he thought he was. All credit to him for following it in, so to speak. But for those of you,
Zaha's fault.
No, not at all.
Chance to take a penalty again, then that's what you're going to do.
Yes, exactly. And I think when I look at it now, I see possibly why it was retaken. But for anybody that's watching and anybody who hasn't seen Brad's explanation of the penalties, and this was before, like I say, we knew about Soyuncu. I'm just going to show this because it just makes me laugh. This is Brad's explanation regarding Zaha's penalty.
We've recently scrapped a rule that lasted for about a season where gamesmanship wasn't allowed. You weren't allowed to do them silly little why are you going to the ball? Yes. If you take a penalty normally and someone encroaches, retake it. If you're doing on your way to the ball, I don't think it's wrong that
how's it go?
To the ball.
How's it go?
Because that's what they do. They're like chickens running towards the ball when they stop them.
Sorry, it just makes me laugh. He leaves himself open, What I love and what was even funnier was that when I put that up on Twitter earlier, and Brad shared it and said, "Oh, looks like I'm going in for Strictly." Nippen, bless him, actually went back and went, "Seriously?" Love you, Nippen. Love you. And it's not often that a game that is billed and bigged up so much actually delivers. You know, how often have we said, oh, it's the best two teams in the country, they got through to the cup final, it's going to be a great game, and it's the dullest thing on earth. I mean, this game lived up to all expectations. I put my post-match show back so I could nip off and watch this. I mean, I went for a draw with this one. I did call it, but you know, you just couldn't split them, could you?
No, I thought both teams had big parts of the game where they were on top. So a draw was probably the fine result, although I did want Liverpool to win because obviously I wanted it to be closer and I did want Liverpool to win the league. So I don't see that happening now because I think they're going to have to, like, this was the chance to put themselves above Man City. I mean, it's so far to go yet. I mean, Man City could lose. I don't see it. I think the only team that could beat them is Liverpool, and they didn't. And actually, they've drawn both the games they played against each other because I think it was 2-2 at Anfield as well. So this is how close these teams are to each other. You know, you can barely split them in the league, and when they play each other, it ends in a draw. Just
I mean, do as well. I know I've got first and third. I've just noticed at the top there that's the joy of doing these things at 2 a.m. Your mind tends to wander. I know it is first and second, and I mean, everyone's saying like this rivalry that's between them. I mean, they're saying Liverpool, it's Man United, it's not Manchester City. It's just the fact that they are the two best teams, and obviously Spurs were doing the good selling job of it, and I kind of fell for it. But when I actually did a show where I had a Man City fan and a Liverpool fan on discussing the game, and when I actually did the research, it hasn't been that Liverpool have suddenly staged this amazing comeback. They've never been that far off Man City. I think 6 points was the most, which is a couple of games. And at the start of the season, Liverpool were above Man City. But I mean, it was
6 points is a lot, though. 6 points is a lot when you're talking about Manchester City. 6 points is a lot.
Yeah.
6 points is a lot when you're thinking that this team, you know, is going to lose probably a couple of games the whole season.
Yeah.
So yes, I believe 6 points is a lot when you're talking about it. However, you know, like I said before, one team was going to catch them. If one team is going to beat them, it's going to be Liverpool because they just play with such high intensity all the time. And they did. And that's why, like, they have stops and starts. Like, they're so intense and they're so good and it's all Liverpool. And then they have to have a break from it because you can't do that for 90 minutes. You cannot play like that for 90 minutes, whoever you are. And that's when Man City then came into the game a bit. And Man City are just an amazing squad of players, aren't they?
Yes, That said, though, I mean, I think this is probably a better result for Man City than Liverpool.
Yes, definitely.
Everybody was saying whoever wins this will go on and win the league, so we're none the wiser. I mean, Man City could have won it. They had the ball in the net the third time, but unfortunately VAR, bless it, came into effect. But I mean, Manchester City, I can see them dropping points, and in a normal season, I could probably say I couldn't see Liverpool. But when you look at the play-ins they've got, Liverpool's is a lot more difficult than Man City's. Yeah,
and that, you know, is going to play its part too. I just, like I say, you can't split them. I'm not going to choose who's going to win the league. I could say I would like it to be Liverpool.
You knew I was going to ask you that, didn't you?
I'm not putting a horse in the race at all.
No.
Because you can't. How can you choose?
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they're so close. It's just going to come down to who. Like, it's Man City's to lose. You know, if Man City win all their games the rest of the season, they're going to win the league. But
yes,
it's just so tight and so close still.
Totally is. It totally is. It could go either way. I mean, the thing is, and if we have a look now, I mean, first of all, you've got to thank both teams for putting on a good game. And as a neutral, you know, I was worried that I was going to sit there and think, oh, you know, but I wasn't. I was totally enthralled. But this is the thing. When you look at the form table, Liverpool are at the top there. I mean, Manchester City down in 7th. And I know it's football and it changes and what have you. But, you know, as a Man City fan, I would be a little bit worried just looking at that.
Yeah, but I just feel like they've got a lot. We've just got so much, Man City, and you know, okay, they didn't win at the weekend against Liverpool, but they're going to win against whoever they've got next. Like, I just feel like they're going to go on a run of winning games, because
they've actually got Brighton next. They've got Brighton.
Yeah, so expect to win there. But then again, I'm suppose Liverpool are expected to win their next game too.
Well, technically, the next game is they've got each other again because it's the semi-final. Next week, so somebody's got to win that on the day. But I
think that would be a bit cagier though, because that is obviously a one-off game too.
Yeah, and like I say, and it's great that as a neutral, yes, we haven't got a horse in the race, obviously, but you know, we can actually sit back and watch it, and it is at least now. It's not just of, you know, Man City walking away with it or Liverpool walking away with it. You know, each game, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm going to be checking the results of both these things, and like who's won, who's lost. You know, how's it looking? At the other end of the table, it's pretty much as it is in the real table. Say this is the form table, but you know, Southampton. You know, they are down there in 18th, and they're safe. They're not going to go down. And again, I feel, you know, I'm sure they don't purposely, you know, think they're on the beach or anything. But Burnley are bottom of that, and I mean, I'm not going to say Norwich are doing well but Brighton were bottom, and they've gone up. One win at this point down at the bottom end of the table can move you up 4 or 5 tables on places on the form table. But it is 3 from 4 still, isn't it?
Yes, I think so. I mean, Everton have obviously done themselves a huge favour at the weekend. I still feel like we've had a lot of false dawns. Obviously, like I said, my mum-in-law is an Evertonian, so there's been a lot of false dawns this season for Everton.
I love Everton. I really hope they stay up.
But this year it has been stop and start.
Yes.
We think they're getting back to, you know, being okay, and then they've fucked it up. So there has to be questions asked, and I don't think it has to necessarily be questions asked of Frank. It has to be questions asked of the squad. You know, he doesn't go out there to make them play badly, to ask them to play badly. So something's going on there, and I'm not sure. Obviously, Frank will hopefully in the summer get rid of what he doesn't want, keep what he does. But there needs to be something happen at Everton, and it needs to involve as little money as possible because they've spent a lot.
And that's the thing, and I think it's not just a case of they've had one bad season. This has been building up over a few seasons, and again, it just shows, you know, they've gone down the money track and spent, and you know, they've not got poor owners. You know, they've got rich owners. They've had a lot of money. Okay, Ancelotti. You know, I mean, Real Madrid came knocking. Of course, Everton, Real Madrid. You know, I know what I would choose. Rafa surprised me, and I think Rafa got a bad. I don't think he thought it was as bad as it was, but he's not a bad manager. Rafa.
It was never going to work out, though. It was never going to work out with his Liverpool ties.
Yes,
because he wasn't just Liverpool manager; he was a successful Liverpool manager who won them Champions Leagues.
Yes.
You know, so the minute it started not going okay at Everton, you know, the Liverpool fans were, you know, Rafa's still a red and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And that's never going to go down well with the Evertonians. So
no, and that's the thing. But you know, it's again. For those that are in mid-table, it's a fantastic to look at that bottom, because again, it's not cut and dried. You know, Norwich aren't out of it yet. You know, they're there or thereabouts. But
this time in the season, usually you've had at least one team absolutely put adrift. And although I do think Norwich will go down, because I don't think they're going to win enough games to stay up, it's not, like you say, cut and dry. It's not done yet.
No.
So.
I mean, literally 3 points behind Burnley. Like, they played a game extra, but it's still all to play for, top and bottom. Which, let's be honest, it's what we want as fans, isn't it? you know.
Sure, like you said, that bottom bit's really interesting, as long as it's not your team involved in
it. Exactly. We've been there. We've got the T-shirt. Yeah. We know what it's like, you know. Last question, and I do appreciate you coming on again. Can we do it on Thursday?
Yeah, they played so well last Thursday.
Yeah.
If they get anywhere near that performance, yes, they can win. It's going to be difficult. Obviously, like I said, I think PSV will be a different opponent at home. But yeah, they can. They just need, the bit of luck that they didn't get on Thursday.
Yes.
To actually score. But
and I do think the pressure. I mean, if it was the other way around and we'd got a 0-0 at their place and then they came to ours, the pressure on Leicester. Say, oh yeah, we did well to get a point away. Not get a point, but we did well to sort of get a draw at their place. Oh, we're at the King Power now. We've got to, pressure's on us. And I think they're an experienced squad, but, they know the manager's leaving. They've got Ruud van Nistelrooy waiting in the wings. And it was a bit of it's how they do it in Holland, apparently, is they announce these things early. But, maybe, I don't know, what it's like when you announce a manager's leaving or you got a temporary manager in. Look at Man United. But fingers crossed. I think we can do it. I think the pressure's all on them. I think we've just got to soak that pressure up.
It's a one-off game.
Yes.
So anything can happen in a one-off game.
And I think, those back two, I think we're going to have Fofana and Evans back. So that's good news.
Yeah, that makes me feel good and a bit more confident. Wes actually, doesn't seem like he's playing well. It's not affected him with his tackling or anything, still going in for challenges that he needs to and doing all the stuff that he was before. So that's really good as well, because that's the fear. Your leg will mend, but your mental kind of psyche doesn't always fix. But that doesn't seem to be an issue.
I think the fact that he's younger helps with that as well, As I know, as I have 2 of my 4 children have both got broken arms at the moment. So I know what it's. Yes. Nothing to do with me. They don't live with me. It just don't report me. It's nothing to do with me.
Giant pizza.
But one of them's in London, so that is so far away. But no, Louise, as always, thank you very much for coming on and giving your views. We'll do it again, obviously, next Monday, and let's hope we're talking about a European semi-final. Wouldn't that be good?
Yeah, it would.
It would. Take care. Give my best to Chris and is it your mother or your mother-in-law that is the Everton? Your mum-in-law. Yes, tell her I do love Everton, really. I don't. Yeah, I do. Louise, thanks very much. Take care. Have a good week, and fingers crossed for Thursday. Yes. Yeah. All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks so much to Louise there. Brilliant insight into those games. Love having her on. She's really good and has really good. I think it gives us good insights. So what's up for the rest of the week? Tomorrow, 9:00, it's the prediction show with Brad, and fingers crossed with Steve, unless he's had his new phone run over as well. He should be with us. On Wednesday at 7:00, we've got Watford Big Fat Football Quiz. We're getting down to the last few teams. Are Chelsea going to win that? And then, of course, the big match on Thursday. It's a 5:45 kickoff. It's earlier, as they always seem to be at the moment, because there's so many games and TVs and what have you. And then, of course, we're going to look forward on the Friday with a preview of the Newcastle game. Why, man. We travel up to Geordieland. Thanks so much for watching. As I say, if you're watching on Leicester Till I Die, please do give us a subscribe and share the video if you can and smash the likes. And if you have been listening on podcasts, thank you so much. We do appreciate the listens as well. I will see you tomorrow night, 9:00 with Brad and Steve. Take care, guys. Stay safe. And remember, don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy. Good night.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.